The concern I have on this, be it being a core burning motor, is igniter, going up all the way in the core. So that's what I'm reviewing here. And here it says step 2, hold the initiator between the thumb and finger, insert the black coated end through the nozzle and into the core of the propellant grain. The illustration doesn't have much differentiation on the core. So it says composite propellant and delay element. You can't see the slightly greenish tinted delay element in the composite propellant or any kind of an outline of a core other than the igniter just sitting in the middle of it. It's just not differentiated very well. Also, it's so far back in there. Initially, I just grabbed the igniter, inserted it in, and when I did, I end up running into the bottom of the core rather than right there instead of inserting into the core. And that's going to be new compared to an Estes motor where they just insert it into the nozzle. So even if they get past that, then we get this issue here. When you insert it all the way in, it tells you to insert it until the black band around the igniter is just outside the nozzle. And as you can see, the picture shows it right on top of the nozzle. And when you insert it there, it's short of the nozzle. And Ruby, my wife, tried to insert it, and she didn't make the same mistake. She inserted it all the way into the core, but she inserted it that far, and then she thought that black piece had to go right up to the nozzle, so she pushed on it and almost broke the tip of the igniter before I stopped her and told her, no, I think you're at the bottom. Don't do that. You'll break the igniter. When we did pull the igniter out, we had a little bit of tip damage on there, and I could see that you may not see it in this picture, but if anybody pushes it with enough force, they're probably going to damage the igniter and have a failure. Providing teachers get used to this, explain this to their kids, that does happen, will happen over time, but it just seems to be an area here of concern. And then there's one other thing. Ruby, my wife, when she inserted all the way in, she says, okay, now it says to put a piece of tape on it. And she says, where's the tape? Let's see if I can get that in there. One-handed, there we go. She says, where's the tape? And I said, well, there's no tape provided. They probably expect you to use a little masking tape. And she said, okay, now I'm out in the middle of the desert and I don't have any tape. Now what? So she had a pretty good point. I think these things should be considered if you're going to sell these in high quantities to educational bulk pack users. I think these things are overcomable. Maybe improvements of illustrations, and not so dark, easier to read. Even the big black area of the white on there is kind of hard to read. It would be better if it was just black writing on a light background with a colorful logo would be better. And definitely some more illustration on the motor cut in half there. Maybe it's better to have some solid lines in there and rather than all this solid color, which makes it hard to actually understand it. I would turn the motor upside down too, so it's in the natural position they would expect to see it as they're loading the igniter with the propellant at the bottom. Supposedly they would turn the rocket around and load it from the top, but I think it kind of, even when people are loading from the bottom, they're thinking about it from having the bottom at the bottom rather than top. So you might consider that. So with some improvements there, you can probably add some reliability to it, and definitely some kind of tape discs or some kind of plug for the nozzle to hold the igniter in would make this more reliable, more convenient. Anyway, that's my first impression. I will be flying them next.